Hello, hello. Welcome to Wednesday and welcome to another episode of Networking Know How, where I come in and we have a conversation about how to network more stress free, like we do in our Down and Dirty Networking online community. If we have not yet met, my name is Laura Morlando, the Stress Commando, and I am the founder and CEO of Down and Dirty Networking. And today, we've got a really great topic. So get up and chat. Let me know where you're watching from. Say hello because, like I said, this is a conversation. And I want to be able to chat with you and get your feedback on the topic that we're talking about to get you into that conversation. So jump in, say hello, let us know where you're watching from. Okay, so let's kind of dig into this a little bit. I'm gonna make sure everything's all set up and that everybody can see us on all the platforms. And I think they can. Awesome. Making sure that I get this all shared over on, all right. So we are on all the platforms. Just got to make sure because you never know. Technology can be tricky and it's been really tricky today. All right. So let's get into this. So today we're talking about how to master the art of connecting, even if you're an introvert. So I got a couple questions. See if this resonates with you and if this is you in any way, shape, or form. So, number one, does networking seem like an endless pitch fest and small talk? Like you're just getting pitch slapped every day and it's a bunch of small talk and there's zero meaningfulness. Does that resonate with you? Is that what your experience lately or in recent past been with networking? Or do you find yourself craving connection? Even if you're sitting at an office potentially surrounded by people, but you really don't feel connected to anyone. Or have you ever walked into a room for a networking event and you simply feel disconnected, you don't feel like you belong? And then go back to the first question where it's nothing but being pitch slapped and small talk, so you're lacking that connection. So are you someone who's watching this thinking, man, I'm really craving connection? Or have you really never thought about it? You're just feeling very isolated and very much on that island of alone. If that's you, let me know in chat. And are you out there? Where are my introverts out there? I'm an introvert. So are you watching as an introvert? And when you hear the word networking, you dread it. You're like, oh no, I just can't do this. The thought of going into a room with people, that energy spend that you would have in a formal networking environment is not something you would love to do. You would do anything else but that. Even though you know you should do it, as I say it with air quotes, but it's not something that you want to do. So, as an introvert, are you out there dreading networking? If that's you, let me know in the chat. Because if you answered yes to any one of those questions, or sometimes to those questions, I actually think this is going to really help you because that's what we're going to talk about today is how do you master the art of connecting even if you are an introvert. So let's kind of dig into it. So let's talk about that first one where the scenario where you're feeling everything with networking is more about it's just small talk and pitch slapping. Like there's no meaningfulness whatsoever. It's really a one-way conversation of how are you doing? Oh, the weather, it's been raining here. And you're really never getting to connecting. If this is what you answered yes to, what I would first tell you more than anything is ditch the pitch. When you engage in traditional networking or transactional networking, you typically have that mindset that I'm there to get a lead, a sale, or a job offer. And that's that transactional mindset. And I want you to ditch the pitch. And instead, I want you to adopt a relational networking mindset. You didn't even know there was another way of networking, did you? But there is. Relational networking is something that we are founded on here in Down and Dirty Networking. And it is all about having meaningful conversations to learn from and about someone. And that is what you want to be focused on when you're walking into a networking activity of any kind, whether it's one to one, whether it's online, or in a room full of people in person. So ditch the pitch and the small talk, engage in relational networking, and focus on having meaningful conversations by learning from and about someone. This is going to change the game for you. And I promise you, you're going to actually enjoy networking when you start doing this. So make sure that you are engaging in relational networking. And one of the tips to help you do this is to get curious. Like, put your super sleuth on and get really curious, like, who can I learn something about today and what can I learn about them? And walk in that room with an intention to learn and to actively listen. And so by ditching that pitch, it just leaves the burden of having anything memorized, the awkwardness, and it allows you to let the other person say something to you. So you definitely want to do that. Now, if you are in an event and someone is pitch slapping you, the reverse can happen. You can say, "Oh my gosh, I can see how passionate you are." And then this leads me to the next one. Connect with one person at a time. Find something that you can ask about this person. Ask them a question, flip the script on them. And this is where you can flip something that where you're being pitch slapped, where it can move more into a meaningful conversation. And so, what I love to ask people when they're pitch slapping, I can see that you're really passionate. Tell me something that you're an expert at that you don't get paid for with this job. And it throws people off of their game when I ask them that question, but I get to know a little bit more about them. Let's face it, we've all had multiple experiences and expertises, and there are things that we might have an expertise in or something that comes easy to us that we don't even realize that is an expertise. And we could share it. And it's a great way for you to know someone in a more holistic way. So I love asking that question of what you're an expert at, especially when someone is in the selling and telling mode and pitch slapping me at an event. It always works, breaks the ice, breaks them out of that funk, as it were, to keep selling and telling you. And it teaches them a better way and gives them a tool of a question to ask something else. But it is key to make sure you pivot that question. What are you an expert at that you aren't using for this job? And I think one of the most interesting answers that I ever got was from someone who was actually at a networking event and said, "Well, something I'm an expert at that you wouldn't know is that I'm really great at choosing paint colors and putting paint on the wall." This from someone who was in the insurance business. So now I had to know more about it and I got really curious to find out, how did you develop this expertise and where does this come from? And it made for a much more meaningful connection. So focus on connecting one person at a time. Focus on one conversation at a time, not how can I work the room and get many. What one person can I learn something from? And this is where, by ditching that pitch, it allows you to have more intentionality and being more meaningful. And then on the third thing, which we kind of already touched about, this is really for you if you are an introvert. If you leverage one of our core values here at Down and Dirty Networking, which is talk less, question more. Now, I gave you a really great question to go ahead and ask when you wanted to flip the script on somebody. But here's another really great question I love sharing, and it's from speaker Amanda Gore that I heard years ago. It has been so helpful in any networking situation, whether you're meeting someone for the first time or reconnecting with someone. And the question is, what's the best thing that's happened to you recently? It is a much more meaningful question than how are you? This question, what's the best thing that's happened to you recently, gets you into meaningfulness immediately. And when you're having a meaningful conversation, that is where true connection can actually come in. I mean, I'm giving you an example of an insurance agent that tells me that they're an expert at choosing paint. I still remember that. It's been over 10 years since I heard him say that to me. And yes, we're still connected and he's still in my network. But how much more meaningful is that and more memorable? Right? If you're the transactional mindset, you want to be memorable because you want to transact business. But when you're really focused on the transaction, you're only in the here and now and you're not really thinking about the big picture. And that is why engaging in relational networking can be so powerful for you and so much more impactful. And as an introvert, what's great about questions is you do not have to worry about what to say next. One of the superpowers introverts have is being able to really connect, to use the power of meaningfulness. We love one to one conversations. We love really connecting on a deep level. And right now, We are in what they are calling an epidemic of loneliness. And one of the reasons Cigna deemed it an epidemic is because people could be in a room and feeling very disconnected from everybody else in the room. They feel like they don't belong and they lack this connection. I call that, and we call that here at Down and Dirty Networking, being on that island of alone, where they're the only ones going through what they're experiencing, really lacking that connection, and thinking they're the only ones that can get them off that island. And what we fail to realize is that the life raft off that island of alone is relational networking. Being curious to learn from and about somebody by having a more meaningful conversation. This is how you have true connection. Now, I encourage you as you go on about your day, practice this. Practice this with the cashier as you're going through. Practice this with your family members. Practice this with your coworkers. If you are an entrepreneur, practice this with your employees, your vendors, your clients. You will learn so much more. And the best part about relational networking is it will absolutely increase your vibrational energy. I just had a wonderful conversation with one of our Down and Dirty Networking members, helping her navigate a situation. And we had a wonderful conversation that had every single one of these components built in. And not only was she feeling clarity and having great ideas, but guess what? Both of our vibrational energies increased by having a more meaningful conversation. And I definitely left the call feeling more connected to her. So if you want to master the art of true connection, engage in relational networking, ditch the pitch, and be curious by leveraging questions, by talking less and question more. I hope that was helpful. Get up and chat. Let me know what you think about this. And if you could use some more assistance with how to network tips, especially if you are an introvert, I encourage you to check out the Down and Dirty Networking YouTube channel. We have curated playlists, and there's a couple of videos up there specifically for introverts that will absolutely help you get out of your own way, actually enjoy networking, and lean into your superpower of meaningfulness and deep connection in a really stress-free way. So make sure to check out the YouTube channel for Down and Dirty Networking. And if you need more tips and resources and inspiration, please make sure to like our Facebook and LinkedIn page. We just dropped our newsletter today, our networking boost, which has some amazing tips and resources to continue this conversation about connection and having more meaningfulness, because that's what we are all based on here at Down and Dirty Networking. So go check our LinkedIn and Facebook page for that newsletter. And stay tuned for tomorrow. We've got a really great article that's going to be dropping. So definitely check it out and like and follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can get all of the new resources. And stay tuned for every Wednesday afternoon, sometime between 3:30 and 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, where I go live for another episode just like today of Networking Know-How. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for those that I see watching live, and to those of you watching on replay. I deeply appreciate you too, and continue the conversation. Feel free to drop a comment and chat. Send me a direct message, how best I can support you, and give us a thumbs up if this has been helpful, or possibly tag a friend. But I hope to see you next Wednesday. And until then, happy networking.